नमस्कार युथ टिभी शो मेकिङ नेपाल प्राउड ग्लोबलीको नयाँ एपिसोडमा यहाँलाई हार्दिक स्वागत गर्न चाहन्छौं। कार्यक्रमको लागि यहाँले पठाउनु भएको फिडब्याक्सहरू हामीले पाइरहेका छौं र आशा गर्छौं भविष्यमा पनि पठाउँदै गर्नुहुनेछ फिडब्याक्सहरू। र अब हामी यहाँलाई आजको कार्यक्रमतर्फ लग्दै छौं।
Namaste, and I hope we have a good interaction. So I climbed Everest in May 2009, becoming one of India's youngest persons to have climbed it. There have been a lot of other women also who've climbed Everest. Presently, I was 19 then, by the way. Presently, I'm on a 7 summit quest, which is I'm climbing the highest peak in every continent. I'm done with Asia, I'm done with Africa, Kilimanjaro, I'm done with Vinson Massif, Antarctica, becoming the first Indian woman to climb the highest peak in Antarctica, and Aconcagua, South America, and I will be finishing the next 3 continents in the next 3 months to come, hopefully finishing them before the first anniversary of Everest, and yeah, that's all. So I'll be more than happy to answer whatever questions you have now.
What is the purpose of 7 Summit Quest?
Well, 7 Summit Quest was, India has been in mountaineering or, climbed Everest long back. But on a global level, we have only one Indian who has done the 7 summits, who did it in 2006. So I realized that a lot of mountaineers, first of all, don't have the opportunity being from countries like India, don't get the opportunities that normal Europeans get. In Europe, people who are not even real mountaineers or, the main thing they do in their life is mountaineering, just as a hobby climb the 7 summits. And in India, very serious mountaineers have also not had the opportunity to go for 7 summits due to financial reasons, due to no opportunities, due to no exposure. So for me, it was one was that I wanted to travel the country, travel the world, and do mountaineering with that. So that's one of the best options. Secondly, it was about putting India on a global map in mountaineering. There has been an Indian Army expedition to South America, Aconcagua. There has been army expeditions that have gone to the South Pole. But there hasn't been one person who's done the 7 summits. There's just one, Malli Mastan Babu, who did the 7 summits, becoming the first Southeast Asian person to do the 7 summits in 2006. So I just felt that it's time that we as Asians really put ourselves forward. I mean, Himalayas, the highest ranges of the mountains are in Asia, are in Nepal, are in India, are in Pakistan, and we are the people who've done the least on a global level. We've done a lot. Our mountaineers have scaled some of the toughest peaks and have done some of the greatest things ever, but it has not been put up on an international level. So I just thought that it's time we did that, and that was one of my motivations to go ahead and do the 7 summit.
Who inspired you for this?
I would say my instructors I did all my courses from the Nehru Institute of Mountaineering, and the vice principal from that institute, Major Thapa, happened to be one of my biggest motivations for doing what I do, because and all my other instructors as well. I started mountaineering just in 2007, and frankly, you can't even call that mountaineering. I started with my first certificate course in 2007. 2008, I did my advanced course, and I got a chance to be a part of the pre-Everest expedition to Mount Satopant, which is a 7,075 meter peak in the Gadwal Himalayas in India. I became the youngest person to have ever climbed it at 18. And that's where I think I always wanted to be in the mountains, but I didn't know what level I could go to. And it was he that said that you can do this, you can climb Everest, and you can do a lot more than that. So I would say he's been my motivation, and inspiration comes from the fact, a lot of other things as well. I remember just before Everest, when I started thinking of Everest, I remember Rihanna. You all must be knowing Rihanna. The singer was 18 years old and at the top of charts. She was number one in America. And I said, I'm 18 and where am I today? Why can't I be somewhere at the top? You know? So I guess that was one of the things that we should all in fact do something. And it's not about age. It's about just getting there and doing it.
Did you get enough support from your family and the society in this mountaineering field?
Yes, I got tremendous support from my family. My family happens to be my biggest strength. From childhood, my mother has put me in varied sports, from skating, karate, tennis, climbing, flying, you name it and I've done it. Swimming, everything. And when I started going for mountaineering, I remember the first expedition that I just spoke about, the pre-Everest expedition. My team leader called up my mother and said, "Ma'am, I do not guarantee the return of your daughter because mountaineering is very dangerous. And I have lost people before during my expedition, so I do not guarantee the return of your daughter. Is that okay with you?" And my mother said, "Yeah, sure. I mean, this is what she wants to do and I shall. I couldn't do it. I'm not going to stop her." So my entire family, and not just my mother, my aunts, my sisters, my uncles, my grandmother, they're all supportive. So, you know, it's not just about my parents being supportive, it's about the whole family, because if my mother allows me and the rest of the family says, "What are you doing? Why are you sending her? What if she dies?" Then obviously even her morale comes down and maybe, you know, she will say, "Oh, you know, maybe don't go." But that's not the case in my family because my entire family supports me. So when I go for an expedition, even if my mother is scared or is feeling lonely or I know that my rest of the family will, you know, bring her up. You know, it works it works with the whole family. So I'm very, very lucky in that. Society, I'm not very sure. Now that I'm successful, it has changed. But before, there had been people who said, "Mountaineering? I mean, seriously, what are you letting your daughter do?" A lot of though my instructors have been one of my biggest inspirations, there was a point even they said, "You know, you're a girl from Bombay and Pune. You have the biggest opportunities in cities like that." I was a dancer. I'm a professional dancer. So they said, "You know, you're in Bombay. You're such a good dancer. I mean, you can go places. Why are you coming to the mountains? Like, for the love of God, why would you want to come here?" So society, I'm not very sure, at least in India, is not so open, I would say. But things are definitely changing. There are a lot of adventure programs that children go for, that corporates go, especially since the corporate world has come into adventure because of team building and stuff like that. They as parents know that it's okay for their children to go into adventure sports. So things are definitely changing, but it'll take a while till it becomes normal for someone to get into mountaineering.
As you are one India's youngest climber, how do you feel about it?
It's obviously a good feeling per se, but it's a lot of responsibility. Sometimes I wish I was just a normal person who goes to college, hangs out with friends and watches movies and all. So, but it's a big responsibility. It's a lot of people look up to you suddenly, and it puts a lot of pressure. Just a year back, I was a nobody. I was just somebody, and you know, suddenly I've become Krushnaa Patil. I myself feel like that's a title on me now. You know, being Krushnaa Patil, I have to be Krushnaa Patil. So it's a nice feeling, but it comes with a lot of baggage. So on the first glance, is the most beautiful thing that can happen to you, but it has a lot of layers under it. So I'm just discovering the other layers.